Igbo philosophy said that the world is a marketplace. The world is not our home. Our home is Bechi, and Bechi dina Iche Niche. If you try to carry everything in the market back to your home, it's really going to be very difficult to do that. Even if you try to carry someone's shop, it will also be very difficult to do that. This is why OBU NGWONGWO is the totemic spirit of Azin, because the more heavy load you carry, the more difficult it would be to enter Bechigi. Also, the more load you carry, the more difficult it would be to align with an Awara, or even transform your life or transform yourself into Awara. Our people say that otu ọ dị na mmadu ka ọ dị na mmụọ, otu ọ dị na mmụọ ka ọ dị na mmadu. We also say that ajọ mmadu bụ ajọ mmụọ. So if you see an individual going against the laws of nature, doing evil things, this is the same way the soul of the individual would be in the astral plane. Ajọ mmadu bụ ajọ mmụọ. An unclean human is also an unclean spirit. The same way it would be difficult for you to get home from carrying everything in the market is the same way it would be difficult for you to enter the home of your chi in the astral plane. This universal truth of our ancestors was perfectly manifested in Pert Em Heru, which is the book of coming forth by day. The Oyibo man plagiarized the name and called it the Book of the Dead. Our ancestors called it Pert Em Heru. Pert is mpota, which is coming forth. Is nime, which is by or in. Heru, Ra is iru, ora, ihu oha. Pert Em Heru is mpota nime iru oha. Igbo language perfectly decodes Pert Em Heru. The meaning of Heru is face or the distant one, as in Nkiru, Nkenoniru, or Oganiru. Heru is a representation of progression. The book is also known as the Papyrus of Ane, a manuscript in the form of a scroll with cursive hieroglyphs and colorful illustrations that was created 1250 BCE during the 19th dynasty of the New Kingdom of Ancient Egypt. The book deals with the story of a man named Ane. In his journey to Pert Em Heru, I kind of recreated the story in my art called Ije Mmuo Obi Chukwu to show how very similar the ancient Kemet concept of my art is very similar to the concept of Ofo. In Igbo cosmology, it is said that Chukwu gave Ana Ofo to give to the upright humans. The Igbo mother goddess, similar to Ma'at, she is also hailed as Nwanyị Mara Mma, Nnemma, and Nnofo. In Pert Em Heru, at the very top shows Ụmụ Agbara sitting as the jury, witnessing the judgment of the soul of Ane, the soul and heart of Ane. Neta is the ancient Kemet name for Agbara. Ane is the man on the far left-hand corner, with his wife. Remember, this is also happening in Pert Em Heru. The scale is a representation of Ma'at, Nnofo, Oma, Mma, herself. Now you know where the Oyibo man stole the so-called scale of justice that they use in their courtroom. The pot on the left side of the scale contains the heart soul of Ane, while the feather of Ma'at, Mma, is on the right side of the scale. The dog-headed Neta Agbara is Anubis, Ampu. His Igbo equivalent would be Anushi. In ancient Igbo, dogs were known as Dinto, which means expert investigators. Dogs can sense change, stress, and when something is wrong somewhere. In ancient Igbo, most Dibias owned dogs. Anubis' job here is to evaluate the heart soul of Ane, or any person. If the soul of Ane or any soul heart is as light as the feather of Ma'at, Oma, then it will be free to enter Bechi. But if it is heavier than the feather, the hybrid demon Amet would devour it, thus ending the person's existence. The hybrid demon is a representation of a lower vibrational spirit in Pert Em Heru. The soul of Onye OBU NGWONGWO belongs to the beasts. The higher you vibrate, the less power the beasts have over your life. Onye OBU NGWONGWO bụ onye obi ya bụ ngwongwo na ngwongwo juru ya. Buddha said that materialism is the root of all suffering. A plane will crash if it is full of ngwongwo na ngwongwo. So this is physics. Otu ọ dị na mmadu ka ọ dị na mmụọ, and ajọ mmadu bụ ajọ mmụọ. Oke ọchịchọ ngwongwo na ngwongwo will lead to the destruction of your soul, heart, and make you become vulnerable to lower vibrational beasts, both in Pert Em Heru and Pert Em Heru. In the Pert Em Heru, Ane's soul was fortunately as light as the feather of Oma Ma'at, and he was led by Heru to become Osiris, which is Ose Ora, which is Aka or A, which is a representation of Chi Onwegi, your purest spirit. Also, you must understand that this is not something you wait until you pass away to find out. Remember that Ajo Mmadu bụ Ajo Mmuo. The story of Ane is about how one aligns with their chi and become one with their chi by living a very simple life under the principles of Ofo, which is Ma'at. That's why we say that Oju Ofo ga-ana, onye ji Ofo bụ onye nwere obiọma, therefore onye obiọma bụ onye ji Ofo ga-ana bechi onwe ya. Many Ogazi people don't really understand why we chant mantras like Eziokwu bụ ndụ, kwụba aka gị ọtọ, Oju Ofo ga-ana. The reason why we chant these mantras in Ordinary is because negative energy does not attract purity, clean spirit, clean hands, or a pure heart. This is the same reason why the hybrid beast wasn't able to devour the heart soul of Ane. It's because Obiya Demfe, his heart was as light as the feather of Ma'at or Ma. Cleanliness is next to Abwaraness. Thus, to become Abwara, one must strive to live a clean life with clean hands and clean heart. There's nothing you will ask an Abwara to do for you that it wouldn't do if you have all of these things. Sometimes, if you feel that nothing is working in your life, get a broom, sweep your house, clean the tables, wash the dishes, wash your clothes, wash your car, and take a shower. Clean everything dirty in your environment. After doing all these things, you'll begin to see what it will take for your life to be better. And this ritual of literal cleansing of your environment is the true meaning of Ichwaja before the fall of man. You do the same with your heart. If you have offended somebody, do not go to a pastor or a confession room to go and ask for forgiveness. No, go directly to the person you offended and ask them for forgiveness. Self-growth is not magic. You'll also be able to see all the things preventing your life from being better. An Abwara does not come around on clean environment. Only Ino Uwa Ogazi Ogbanuke comes around on clean environment. Igbo si ka anyị na-achụ aja ka ikpe na-ama ndị mmụọ. If you want ka ikpe na-ama ndị mmụọ for real, na-ekwu eziokwu, na-akwụwa aka gị ọtọ, live under the principles of Ofo. Ndị ọrụ anụ will perform their animal sacrifice based on their level of understanding of ihe bụ ịchụ aja, and yet they eat the meat. Imagine throwing out your trash and then going back to the trash to find food and eat. If you sweep off dirt from your house, do you bring it back to your house? But when the Orano perform animal sacrifice as part of cleansing, they still eat the animal. It proves that the Orano are very ignorant of what Ichwaja is. If you are hungry for meat, eat your meat. But if you use animals as a ritual pedagogy for cleansing, you are only fooling yourself. Also, eating meat or too much of it is very bad. Real Igbo foods are not dominated by meat. We have meat in our food, but our foods are not about meat. The meats are usually afterthoughts. This is also how it is in most places in Africa. Think of our names for soups. They are mostly names of a specific plant or leaf. Let it be known to you today that most Igbo mythological allegories are about agriculture or Ubo. But you have to be wise to know that. Just like you have to be wise to understand the Luokun proverbs. The Oyibo man is the original Onyorano. You see, most of the animalistic things the Oyibo man was doing in Europe, they came and dumped them in Africa. Now, the life expectancy of an African man in Africa is 63. We know for a fact that our ancestors had a tremendous knowledge of agriculture, or Ubo, based on the amount of plant-based food we eat. And we know for a fact that Oyibo people barely had any knowledge of agriculture, based on the fact that their foods are dominated by meat, because the Oyibo man's DNA is much closer to a meat-eating species, such as the Neanderthals. Afro people in the Igbo don't have Neanderthal DNA.